Boy, he was good. He covered every blade of grass. He's an incredible footballer.
I am disappointed, to be fair.
It's had its moments at St Mary's this season.
I don't think Southampton were as good as I expected them to be.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Sportsman. We've got a very nervy playoff semi-final to preview between Southampton and West Brom after the first leg finished 0-0 at the Hawthorns. And joining me today is Connor from West Brom Fan TV and Martin Sanders, a Southampton fan. Martin, let's start with you. How are you feeling after that first leg? A very tense affair, but ultimately come away, a level playing field.
Yeah, really happy to get out of there without getting beaten, to be honest. I thought West Brom maybe just edged it on Sunday. I thought they were really good. Got to give a massive shout out to the Baggies fans. I thought the atmosphere they created inside the Hawthorns was incredible. An extremely hot day. The pitch was dry. Obviously, they didn't water it on purpose. They know we like to play football. I think it was Russell Martin alluded to it in his post-match press conference that the pitch played a bit slow. Flynn Down said the same. He said it was so hot down at pitch level. He said he could hardly breathe in the first 15, 20 minutes. And West Brom, they were like ants. They were all over Southampton. They swarmed us for the first 15 minutes. And I've got to say, I was really, really worried. Seeing the team use that Shea Adams wasn't going to start, I felt a little bit flat before the game started. But you give a shout out to the Baggies fans, the Southampton fans, and the away end where I was. Oh boy, they were unbelievable. 2,000 of us, they sung their hearts out. They were absolutely magnificent, and we're going to need every single one of our fan base when we're back at St Mary's on Friday because the Baggies, they were their 12th man. I think they're probably being a little bit disappointed they didn't take advantage with the home advantage, to be honest.
Connor, a little bit disappointed.
I am, to be honest. I think we both had good chances. I really liked the look of that Flynn Downs from Southampton. He was superb on Sunday. I think for us, Furlong played well. I think Yukoslu played well. The problem with us, the amount of crosses what we put in their box, we just don't have a target man to head the ball in the back of the net. There was a couple of chances what we had. Dean Garner with a header. He say a cracking save by McCarthy, by the way. I think if he was a little bit unlucky, it didn't drop for him though when he headed it for Dean Garner. Then we had another one inside the box with Dean Garner. Furlong put it just wide. I am disappointed, to be fair, because going to St Mary's is always going to be tough. But when you've got a packed stadium like the Hawthorns was on Sunday, Southampton are going to be their 12th man. It's going to be difficult to break them down away from home. I do think it is advantage Southampton now. I think it was pretty even overall. I don't know, maybe we had the better chances, but I think overall it was pretty even. I think we played well for the first 15, then Southampton come into it. I think we had like three or four corners within the first 5 minutes. We were really, really applying the pressure. But I think Southampton grew into the game and they did improve from there. Their keeper made some fantastic saves, and so did ours, to be honest with you. There's a reason why our keeper's got golden glove, and you could see it. Like, he was just throwing his body everywhere, and he made some really, really good saves. I am more nervous than I was on the first podcast.
Do you
Because,
think
like I
your
say,
team's, sorry to jump in there, do you think your team could have approached it any differently? I don't think either team sat back particularly, or do you just think it was one of those games that ended 0-0?
yeah, it was just one of those games where it ended 0-0. I think the only thing for me is I wish we would have had a target man up front. Like I say, because we're putting a lot of balls in the box, but Asante is not really that kind of player who's going to score you a lot of headers from crosses. He's quite small. They've got Bednarek at the back, who's an absolute monster. He's massive. I was impressed with Harwood Bellis as well. I thought he was really good. I think Ryan Manning played well. There was a lot of performances I was impressed with from Southampton. I thought Aribo had a good game. I don't think we really could have approached it any more different because I think we did give it a good go. It was just that both teams defended really, really well.
Do you think that's the same for you, Martin, in terms of how Southampton approached this one?
Surprised that we kept a clean sheet because it's something that we've had that inability to do a lot this season. We concede a lot of goals, but that I spoke about the change of formation on the podcast last week and how Russell would come up with a slightly different way of playing, and he implemented that again at the weekend. and it ended up with three centre backs on the pitch for the game. I'm not quite sure we'll be able to go the same way in the game at home. I think we have to have a bit more of a go at them, to be quite honest. Alex McCarthy, you've got to give him a massive shout out. He made 3 saves, but 2 of them are absolutely outstanding. Late in the game, he makes an incredible save. We go at the other end. Ross Stewart comes off the bench for Southampton. He did more inside 20 minutes than Sekou Mara did in the whole of the game up front for Southampton. He cuts in from the left side and he gets a shot off, takes a deflection, and the goalkeeper's made his save. He's caught it with his feet. It was unbelievable, Palmer. It was a brilliant save. 2 very, very good goalkeepers. You just wouldn't want this going to penalties because those 2 will be massive. But I was just really happy just to keep it solid, something that we just have that inability to do. But Connor, I spoke about Flynn Downs and central midfield for Southampton. Boy, he was good. He covered every blade of grass. He's an incredible footballer. West Ham loanee. He's on loan from West Ham. They're taking him back in the summer and have a good look at him, I would think, because he's been magnificent this season. He's a Premier League player. He's got everything about him, and for Southampton to get through this tie, they will need him on the pitch. He did get booked actually early on in the game at the weekend. We wouldn't want to lose him at any stage during this playoff campaign, that's for sure.
Let's touch on Alex McCarthy there, because I'm not saying it's a weak point for Southampton, but it's certainly a bit of a change having to play their second choice keeper. How are Saints fans feeling about Alex McCarthy? I mean, he was superb, wasn't he? Very experienced in that first leg.
Yeah. Gavin Bazunu took a huge amount of flack this season. He's a young goalkeeper. He joined us last season in the Premier League from Portsmouth, our arch rivals. He found it really tough. He was in a really young side last year and made a lot of mistakes, which you're going to at that age. He started this season okay, but he's had moments this year, and the fans were calling for a change actually not that long ago. He gets injured, and Alex McCarthy has gone from third choice, believe it or not, to being the first choice because Joe Lumley was the number 2. Russell decided to go with his number 3 because he just felt he had a little bit more experience in the running. Absolutely the right decision as well, because I think over the years he's played at the top level. That he's a calm and collective, and maybe a little bit too calm sometimes, but he's a shot stopper. And without him at the weekend, we could have eased. A lot of people were walking out the ground, Southampton fans, saying if Bazuni's playing, I'm not sure we walk out of there with anything, because he was massive, really, and it gave him the confidence as well going into the second leg as well, that he doesn't like the ball at his feet, and at times he made one mistake, the ball's got chucked back at him. But all in all, I thought it was a 9 out of 10 performance from him. He was voted man of the match on the Southampton website down here, and all the fan forums that I've been on, they're raving about him. The channel I've got, everyone was just all over me. He's like, "Oh, Alex McCarthy, Alex McCarthy." It was constant. So yeah, it was unbelievable.
And then a brilliant performance from the West Brom goalkeeper, Alex Palmer, as well at the other end, Connor. Golden Glove winner in the Championship this season. For many people, the best keeper in the Championship. How good has he been this season, and how important is he going to be at St Mary's?
Well, it's like Cedric Kipre, who I spoke about last week. He wasn't really ever in the running to start or anything like that. Alex Palmer, he's been in our reserves for a long time, and we just thought he was going to be one of those keepers who would never really make the first team. He'd always be in our reserves, and he's took his opportunity what Corber Hands gave him, and he's grasped it with both hands. He was unbelievable. He made 2 good saves. I think it was Ross Stewart who come on, and he had a shot, and Bartley he blocked it, and it deflected to Palmer's the other side where Palmer was originally going, and he just saved it with his feet. He's been massive for us this season. Without him, I don't think we would have obviously kept as many clean sheets, because he has made some unbelievable saves, and they do say a lot of the times a good keeper can save you a lot of points, and he really, really has this season. And if any other keeper was, if we'd have had David Button in goal, for example, that would have gone through his legs or would have dropped something in the net. But he's probably one of the I really like Alex Palmer. He gives me when we had Ben Foster, obviously he was a massive fan favourite and stuff like that. He gives me them sort of vibes. He's a really, really good shot stopper. He's a really nice person as well. He's 26, 27. I never thought I'd see him in a West Brom shirt in the first team, to be totally honest. I remember watching him in a reserve game and I thought, God, this guy is awful. He's never going to make it to like the higher level of West Brom. but he surprisingly he's came out of nowhere and he is class. But McCarthy was as well. To be fair, for his age, I don't know how old he is, but I could see all the grey hairs coming through, and I was just like, geez, this man's old, but he's a veteran of a goalkeeper, Alex McCarthy, isn't he? He's really good, but I think, like Martin said earlier, I wouldn't really want it going to penalties because we've got two incredible goalkeepers.
Reyes just
Who
being
could,
experienced, don't they? That's all that
yeah,
counts as a
yeah.
goalkeeper. Let's move it forward to Friday night and the second leg. How's the atmosphere been at St Mary's this season, Martin? And what can we expect from the second leg? You mentioned the West Brom fans put on a bit of a show at the Hawthorns. Can we
They
expect
did.
something similar?
Yeah, what we as fans we've been calling on the football club to try and bring us all together before the game, and I think it's really important that they do that and they and the fans meet. I think that the plan is to get to the ground at 6 o'clock and get as many people there as they can and get the players to arrive. That we're calling for the players to arrive by coach, get there so we can cheer every single one of them on. They usually arrive 4 hours before kickoff individually via car, but we all want to cheer our players on. We want to give them the biggest boost we possibly can. So there'll be a lot of us there early on Friday, and I think as a fan base we have to unite and really really come behind the manager, give the boys everything that we've got as a fan base. What we did as 2000 at the Hawthorns at the weekend was unbelievable because our fans were brilliant. But if we could do that with 20 or 28,000 of us, 29,000, it'd probably be Southampton fans packed inside St Mary's. It's been a sellout for weeks. I just think we have to be noisy because at times it's had its moments at St Mary's this season. We didn't lose a game between September and February at St Mary's. Um, and we had a little bit of a wobble. It was at Huddersfield. It might have even been March, actually. We had a wobble against Huddersfield at March, winning 2-0 down at half time. And the fans were quite quick to boo the players, actually, which was a bit surprising after you've been on a 25 game unbeaten run and been outstanding. It can be a little bit soft at times. I think we have to really make the place loud because it can be a little bit quiet at times. Those newer stadiums like St Mary's and the King Power, Derby County's ground, they're all very similar. Like the King Power's a blue version of St Mary's, really. They're all very soulless, I find at times. So we really have to bring it alive somehow, and that means to bring flags, scarves, wear your colours, is what we're saying, and just try and bring it alive for once, and just make it intimidating. That's what we have to do.
I spoke to the Leeds fans last night ahead of their semi-final second leg against Norwich, and the fact that the second leg was at home for them, they took some confidence in the fact they might be able to get an early goal and blow Norwich away. But there was also a real sense of nerves, and I don't know whether that's just because it's Leeds United in the playoffs. But do you feel like the pressure is all on Southampton now, and that could
Yeah.
lead to a bit of a nervy atmosphere?
Yeah, I do. And we were so nervy in the first 20 minutes against West Brom at the Hawthorns. Yeah, and there is pressure now. There's massive pressure. The manager's young. He's 38 years old. He's a young manager, first time as a manager in a playoff. He's done it as a player, not as a manager. So yeah, he'd be nervous. I think the fans are nervy because we let a lot of soft goals in. We've conceded as many goals as anybody in that top 10 this season. And I think if West Brom come and got the early goal, it'd be really important that we don't panic because that's what kind of worries me a little bit is if they come and get the first goal, they could shut up shop, and that is concerning to be honest because you put a low block in against us and we're really really hard to break down. That teams are hard to break down. We don't play with a target man like West Brom do. We get it wide to the wingers and put the ball in the box. We'll play into feet, and that will mean Shay Adams being fit because we can't afford to miss him really. And I think if he isn't available on Friday night, for me, Russell Martin has to play Ross Stewart. I know he's not played all season, but the young lad Sekumara, he's not quite good enough. Unfortunately, I don't hate criticising players, but he's not quite good enough. Certainly not in a playoff game, your biggest game at St Mary's in 13 years. He really struggled at the weekend. He's a young boy, not quite ready for it. He's probably needs to be out on loan in League One, to be honest, not playing in the semi-final of a playoff. And they need Shay fit. And if Shay's not fit, Ross Stewart's got to go in there for me. It's vital.
He was very impressive off the bench in his little spell, and we've seen it in the Championship for a couple of seasons now with Sunderland, just how good he is when he is fit. Talking of pressure, Connor, could this actually suit West Brom? You said you needed a home win last week, but ultimately a 0-0, you're still in the game, and the pressure on Southampton might help West Brom out here.
Still in the game. I think the longer the game goes on without a goal, I think the pressure will build more and more because I do think, let's say we get to the 50th minute, 55th minute, and no one scored. I think the pressure will really mount on Southampton because their fans are going to be really. I think their fans get quite frustrated quite easily. Same as our fans, to be honest with you. Um, although it's going to be so difficult going down to the St Mary's. I think if they go 1-0 up within 15 minutes, it could be 3 or 4-0, to be honest with you. But I think the longer the game goes on without a goal, I think it will suit us a lot more. I think if Che Adams is not on the pitch, it'll give us a great opportunity because he has been their vocal point of all their play this season. He's incredible, to be honest with you. And yeah, I'm nervous, but I'm not as nervous as I was because I don't think Southampton were as good as I expected them to be. A lot of their players are Premier League quality. You know, Walker Peters, you've got Harwood Bellis, you've got Flynn Downs, who easily get in well, not any, but most Premier League teams. And I expected a little bit more from Armstrong as well. You know, we was all speaking about him in the build up to the last game, but to be honest, I don't think he really did a fat lot. But that being said, we did defend well. I'm a bit more confident now, actually, because I think that's if we can last until the 55th, 60th minute, and it's still 0-0, I do genuinely believe we could nick it. And I think Southampton need to generate a really, really good atmosphere, like Martin said, and I think they will, because it is a massive game for both of us.
Can we
It's going to be
expect
tough.
any tactical changes or personnel switches from West Brom ahead of this, or do you think it'll be more of the same?
I think it'll be more of the same, to be honest. I think it's like I say, we were screaming for a Daryl DK or someone like that, a tall centre forward who can actually out jump players. I mean, nothing against Sante, but it's really, really difficult when you're about 5'6" and you're playing up front against big centre backs on your own. It's very difficult to get that service, even when you do get the ball you've not really got much around you or much options. But I feel like the way we played on Sunday, it was very much on the wing to fellows across it in. And I don't know if you noticed, the only time we really, really got a few chances in the box is when we was playing it across the floor rather than in the air. Whenever we was playing it in the air, Bednarek or someone was on the end of it, but the actual chance where Dean Garner, you know, hit it and the keeper made a great save, it was played along the floor. So I think we need to stop with all this long balls over the top when we get in the box on the wing because I don't think it's going to work. To be honest with you, that's the only thing I'd really change. But yeah, it's going to be really hard to, you know, do play that sort of way when they've got like Flynn Downs in midfield because he was just breaking up everything on Sunday. But yeah, I am confident now. I'm a lot more confident than I was because I expected a lot more from Southampton. I thought that earlier game in the season and where they absolutely hammered us, I was nervous it could have been a repeat of that, but who knows? It could be a repeat of that at St Mary's.
Mine, any tactical changes? We mentioned the three at the back, and obviously that worked from an aerial perspective, but you think you might have to change a few things, and of course, Ross Stewart potentially coming into the 11.
Yeah, I think he needs to match up the two centre backs of West Brom. I think Bartley and Kit Pray are two physical centre backs, and you have to match them up and have somebody in there that can hold the ball and fend them off. Like I said earlier in the show, Sekumara won't do that. So we need Shay Adams. He is vital to the way that we play. When we're at our best, he scored 17 goals this season. He'd be really important. But yeah, I think Russell totally changes the way he sets up against him. I think he could potentially revert back to how he beat them at the Hawthorns. He played two wide men that day. He didn't do that at the weekend, but I think you potentially see Ryan Fraser come into this side. He can play off the left side and cut inside. You're going to need to see a bit more, like Connor said, from Adam Armstrong. He struggled a little bit at the weekend. I think we need to inject some pace and really have a go at them because it's the sort of game that you want to start fast, get the pitch wet. It's going to be a bit cooler. I think it's going to be a totally different game. I think tactically he sets up slightly different. It's just how he accommodates Jack Stevens as captain. He's a centre back, and you've got two centre backs that have been outstanding in Jan Bednarek and Harwood Bellis. Is how do you put him in the side? Because at West Brom away, he played him at left back. But for me, you need to find a little bit more flair, sort of from a wide position, and start going at the fullbacks really. And I think Ross Stewart showed that, if you can get at them, that will be the way to beat them. So coming in off the back, sort of like coming into the back post, I think that's what we can do. We can switch play really quickly, and on a nice wet surface, beautiful pitch at some areas. The grounds staff make a wonderful job of our pitch. I think he sets up differently. I think he uses the home advantage, the pitch, and I just think he's got the tools that he can really mix things up if he wants to. I hope he does.
And this is obviously a second leg that could go all the way to extra time and maybe even penalties if we get that far. How's your sort of squad set up to deal with that? And do you think there's a certain advantage with players you could potentially bring off the bench? Probably leaning towards Southampton there, Martin.
Yeah, I would feel pretty nervous about a penalty shooter. Alex McCarthy was very good was very good in the FA Cup last year. I think it was against Sheffield Wednesday. Nathan Jones was the manager of Southampton at the time, but he saved 2 penalties in a night. Was very, very good in the shootout. So I feel confident with the goalkeeper. I think it's all about bottle, isn't it? And at times we haven't always shown loads of bottle when we really needed it in the big, big moments away from home when we've really needed to turn the screw and beat sides. I think you've got some good experience, likes of Adams, Downs. Adam Armstrong, decent from the spot, doesn't really miss from the spot. So you've got players that you can use, but I would feel very, very edgy with a penalty shootout. I've got to be honest, it's all about bottle. West Brom, I think, probably a bit more experience.
And for you, Connor, in terms of if it goes to extra time, you mentioned feeling a bit more confident the longer the game goes on. Have you got players on the bench that could come on and
Not as
change
far as
things and
penalties.
potentially win it?
Not as far as penalties. I think if I think it, what I meant by the 60th minute thing is I think if yeah, extra time or anything like that, but as soon as it gets to penalties, I'd be very, very nervous. If I can see Adam Reach stepping up to take a penalty, then I am going to be absolutely, myself because my God, I don't know. We've got some good players who can take a penalty. I mean, your Lou can take one. We've got Asante who's been decent from the spot. We have got players who can take them, and we've got Alex Palmer who's made a few saves from the penalty spot this season. So yeah, it's just penalties as a whole are always nervous. It doesn't really matter who you've got because they've got some great players as well. It's anyone's when it goes to penalties. One little mistake, you put it a little bit to the left too much, and it's wide.
Right.
The longer the game goes on, I think we'll nick it. I really, really do think we'll nick it, but I'm not so confident in regards to penalties. No.
I want you both, as coming to the end of this podcast now, I want you both to give me one thing that you're concerned about ahead of Friday night and one thing you are excited about ahead of this semi-final second leg. Martin, let's start with you as the home team. One thing to be concerned about from a Southampton point of view.
For me, I just think dealing with the crosses that they put in the box, it does really concern me if they get on the end of it. And like Connor said, if this game goes and goes and they nick it, I think longer it goes, and if they nick it late in the game, I think they go on and win it personally. That's what worries me. What excites me the most, it excites me that Shay Adams hopefully be fit. It excites me that we've got a Pat St Mary's that will be bouncing, got the home advantage. Do you know what? I just think we can really, as fans, we can really drive our team on. We have an opportunity now to play a massive role, and I think, I think we'll do it. I believe we'll do it. I think it'd be a real tight, edgy affair though.
And Connor, same question for you.
What concerns me is I think if they go 1-0 up really early on, they've got the ability to do it. We've saw how good they've been all season. And if they can get a goal early on, they will grow in confidence. So that would be my concern. Also, I think the atmosphere is going to be incredible. I think it's a it's going to be a massive game, obviously, and I think their fans are going to be really up for it like we were. And I think they'll generate a great atmosphere. I think our away fans as well will generate a good atmosphere. So looking forward to the atmosphere and the actual game itself. But my concern is if Che Adams is back and if they score a goal early on, I do think floodgates could open because our confidence will just drop and their confidence will just go through the roof, especially with like 29,000 Southampton fans chanting the names. And they've just scored. They're gonna feel really, really confident, and it's gonna push them on, I think.
Right, there's only one way we can finish this preview, and that's with your score predictions for this second leg. Connor, let's come to you first. Do you think West Brom are going to do it?
Yeah, I do. And I'll always back my side. Call me deluded, I probably am, because I've got me. I'm thinking of this from my West Brom tinted sunglasses, but I'm going to say it's going to be an edgy game, like Martin said. I think both teams are going to defend really, really well. I'm going to go with a 1-0 West Brom win after extra time.
Oh, Martin, how painful does that sound?
Very, very painful. Very painful. I could see it going to
Sorry,
extra time
Martin.
actually as well. I think I could see it going to extra time. I think Southampton will edge it though. I think that their win 2-1. I think the Baggies will score though and make it interesting. I really fancy Ross Stewart. He's had a long, long time out injured. I think he comes. I think he gets game time, and I think he comes on. And I think he gets the winner.
Does it get any better than that? Right, one of you is going to Wembley. Thank you both very much for joining me. We'll
Thank you.
see who comes out as
Thank
the
you.
victor on Friday night. But Martin, thank you very much for joining me, and the same to you, Connor. And we'll see you next time on the Sportsman Untitled.